Hey, fourth grade, it's Miss Duran again. For our last lesson online, we'll be doing it on interpreting visual information. Our learning target says, by figuring out information that is shown in charts or other visuals, you will gain a clearer understanding of a topic in an informational text. While reading informational text, you often see photos, diagrams, and timelines. These visuals explain ideas about a topic that words alone cannot. You also might see graphs with quantitative information in the form of numbers or other data. You usually see those in math class. If you come across a special text feature, figure out its purpose. Ask yourself, what information does it give? How does it work together? With the text details to add to your understanding of the topic. So for our first thing we're going to do together, the directions say, read the text and study the bar graph. Figure out how the graph helps you understand the text. So I'm on that bottom section. I always read the text first, then look how the visual connects. So a few months ago, I helped my science teacher set up a fish tank. The tank has 3 types of fish. We put in just 2 of the largest type of fish and many of the smaller types of fish. The tank is large enough to follow this rule. Each fish needs about 1 gallon of water to be healthy. Now I can look at the chart to find out more information that the text did not give me, and vice versa. Think. Were you able to interpret or figure out the information in the text and graph? From the details, you should have a good idea of how many fish are in the tank and what kinds of fish live in it. Use the passage in the graph to fill out the chart below. So it started us out already for the what the text says. First, the tank has 3 types of fish. It doesn't tell us the names of the type of fish in the text, but if I look at the chart, I can see what the names of the fish are. So let's go back to the text. Now you can see at the bottom of the graph, it says type of fish. And on top of each bar are the names. So the 3 types of fish are angel, danio, and tetra. Let's fill that in our chart. One other thing the text says is that the largest fish has 2 of them in the tank. So now I want us to go back to the text and see if we can use the graph to figure out what the largest fish is. So you should be looking at the side of the chart that says number of fish. You're looking for which bar has 2. Now I noticed that angelfish has 2. So that means the biggest fish is the angelfish. Although it doesn't say that in the text, you can use the text and the chart to get that information. Here are the answers for the chart I just talked through. Please pause the video if you need to write down the answers and then click play. Let's do one more practice passage together. This one's called Features of the Ocean Floor by Connie Rather. Remember, we're reading the text and then looking at the visuals to help us. Picture this. You're in a submarine right next to a continent. Looking down, you see a part of the ocean floor called the continental shelf. Now, head out to sea. The ocean floor drops away to form the continental slope. You might pass through a range of seamounts or volcanoes rising from the ocean floor. In time, you'll reach the abyssal plain, a dark realm with very deep valleys called trenches. Finally, you might encounter long, snake-like ocean ridges that rise from the ocean floor. They connect to form a long chain of underwater mountains around the planet. The deepest ocean trench in the world is the Mariana Trench in the Pacific. It is one of the most difficult places to reach on Earth. It is so deep that if Mount Everest, one of the tallest mountains in the world, were picked up and put at the bottom of the trench, the mountain would still be covered with water. Now that I've finished reading the text, I'm going to look at the diagrams. Remember, diagrams are labeled pictures. So on the top right picture, it says features of the ocean floor. You can see a picture of everything they talked about in the text. I remember the word continent, continental shelf, abyss. Now I can use them both to help me to see what it looks like. On the bottom is a picture of the highest and deepest place on Earth. I remember that they said the Mariana Trench is so deep that Mount Everest would still be covered by water if it was put inside of it. So I can see how the visuals and the text support each other. Explore. How do the text and diagrams work together to provide information about the ocean floor? Think. Use information about the abyssal plain and the Mariana Trench to complete the chart below. Identify what you learned from the text and what you learned from each diagram. First, the text talks about the abyssal plain. We're going to find out about what the text says, and we're also going to look at the visual features of the ocean floor and write down what the diagram shows to show how they provide information about the ocean floor. This item is asking me to identify details about the abyssal plain and the Mariana Trench that come from the text as well as from the diagrams. I'll start by rereading the first paragraph. Paragraph 1 describes an imaginary journey out to sea and tells me what I would see along the way on the ocean floor. The sixth sentence tells me about the abyssal plain and describes it as a dark realm with deep valleys called trenches. Since that's about an abyssal plain, I'm going to write that sentence in column 1 of my chart. Then I'm going to look at the diagram. I see the features of the ocean floor, including the abyssal plain, and one of its trenches. I see that the ocean trench is the deepest part of the ocean floor. I'm going to write that in column 2 of my chart because it explains about what the text is saying. I provided the answers up top that I just explained verbally, and now we're going to work on the Mariana Trench, the text, and also the picture titled Highest and Deepest Places on Earth. Let's go back to the text. So I know that in paragraph 2 we talk about the Mariana Trench. So I'm going to find a sentence that talks about how deep it is. I see that the first sentence says the deepest ocean trench in the world is the Mariana Trench. That would be what the text says. Now I got to see, how does the picture support that? Well, when I look at the side of the picture, it says miles. So I know that the Mariana Trench is about 7 miles and that Mount Everest is only about 5.5 miles high, which means that it is bigger than Mount Everest, which would prove that it's the deepest in the Pacific. So here are the answers for the work we just did. This is my last YouTube video for the school year, and I'll have one more Zoom call. So I can't wait to see you on there. Love and miss you. Bye-bye.